Zamboni's on 7th Restaurant and Bar right across the street from Grand Casino Arena in downtown St. Paul. You'll find a joke at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. Enjoy happy hour food and drink specials when you stop in for the shows. Or if you've got something to say and enjoy stepping into the spotlight, go to zambonison7th.com and sign up to join the show. Spots fill up fast, and they do cap the number of comedians each week, so do not delay. Also, stay tuned for details on their once-a-month Friday night comedy show, Freaky Funny Fridays, beginning Friday, November 21st, featuring some of the hottest comedians in the Twin Cities. Zamboni's on 7th is a joke, but only on Wednesday evenings. And the occasional Friday.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Wildly Informed. Brett and Isha back with you. Bulk of the show today to talk about the Minnesota Wild, some ups and downs in the past week, some nice wins, some disappointing losses. We'll get to all that, but as we always do, got to check in with Isha, see how it's going. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm good. It's warmer today, so I'm happy.
Yeah, we got some sun. I heard there's.
Yeah, look at you, by the way. Fresh cut, freshly shaven. I'm like half looking like a bum right now.
Yeah, for those that have seen me in person or like follow me on socials, like I don't ever really do the whole mustache thing, but lost my grandpa to prostate cancer beginning of my senior year of high school. So wanted to pay a tribute to him during November to raise awareness for prostate cancer. So took my stab at a mustache. So this is what we're at so far. It doesn't really get much longer than this for me. It might fill in a little bit more, but more of a beard guy than a mustache guy. But we'll rock it for the rest of the month here. So
I should. I mean, I honestly could probably get to where you're at like by Saturday.
You just go quick.
I mean, I shaved yesterday, so
yeah, your scrolls back in quick. Yeah. I just shaved everything. Like I did a full shave to start November, and then today I let it kind of all grow back a little bit, and then today I trimmed everything besides the stash.
There you go.
It's like the first full stash debut day today. So
nice. I saw that skit.
Hopefully, Grandpa approves.
Yeah, no, for sure. I lost my grandfather to cancer as well. Fuck cancer. I saw the Iowa Wild. They've been doing a good job with like their short content pieces, and there's one where they asked every player who they thought would like grow out the best mustache. And it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Like a lot of the players you can tell just like want no part of it, but the ones that do are super animated.
Like all in. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, like, and Mayhew back as well. You can tell that he's just like, he is the leader with Ben Jones not there. He is the de facto leader of the team now, and it's just that's his house. So it's pretty cool to see. I've been honestly just like razor focused on Iowa the last couple of weeks. They've there's hope. There's starting to be an identity, even though they aren't fully healthy, and some of the young guys are still developing.
Yeah, and I think like we can talk a little about Iowa. We haven't talked about them a whole lot on this show. We usually leave that to Z, but we can talk a little bit. Like, yeah, I think it's good to like there was some skepticism around Greg Cronin, just kind of given how things went for him in his last position with the Ducks. Things didn't really pan out there. There was some things said about the way he treated some players, the way he got along with players that gave you a little bit of concern going to a minor league team. But, it sounded like, maybe what Iowa needed was, some structure, a kick in the ass, not the hand holding that, maybe Brett McLean was doing a little bit of. And yeah, I think, since they signed Mayhew, I think they've, got some guys back, Ogren and stuff. I think they in their last like 4-1-1.
Olsen is sick too.
Yeah, and he's been a nice addition for them.
I would arguably say he's looked like the best player on the team.
Yeah, and like
outside of Foodie, but
right. And I think a lot of times like you look at when teams make trades, like you hope it helps the big club, but it's just important for the AHL team to be good. I mean, look at your Abbotsford Canucks. They go and they won the Calder Cup last year, and I think almost their entire fourth line this year, I think, was basically the top line last year. So they know how to win. They get to come to the NHL together. Like that can't be understated.
Manitoba Moose did that too, like with Kessler and that whole wave. Like I think Mason Raymond played down there. Freaking Bieksa was there. Like so many of those guys. Rick Rippon, rest in peace, was there. Like and again, I'm reaching here, but like this Olsen kid's like he's playing just like he did in Colorado to deserve a call up when needed. Now, knock on wood, like the injury bug is come and gone. But what, 22, 23? Like, these are the type of trades that I love. Just like, those shot in the dark college, kid signings that we see, come, every April, May anyways. You never know which one is going to hit.
And if he at best helps your top 6 in the AHL, that's not a bad.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Especially with him being 23 or 22, 23. Like, let's go.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to like there. Like, I don't think anyone's expecting them to like completely turn the corner and be like a contender this year necessarily. But I think to be out of the basement and like, a mushy middle season for Iowa probably isn't the worst thing. Like for the Minnesota Wild, we don't want to be in the mushy middle anymore. For Iowa, that would be, I think, the right step forward. So there's definitely some encouraging things down there. Obviously, David Spacek did get a call up here as insurance with Jake Middleton out, but a name that I don't think he's been called up before from memory, but
fair. Like he's been different guys. He's been great. He's been great down there. So some hope from the last 2 years of just pain.
Yeah, no kidding. Pretty quiet week across the NHL this week. Not a ton of headlines to go through here, but just a couple ones. This one was making pretty big waves across social media yesterday with the insiders and stuff like that, with reports that the NHL is sending representatives to Milan just to basically check out the ice conditions. There are some early concerns about whether or not the ice is going to be good. And obviously with bad ice, could potentially come injuries, poor play.
I love that. That's just like, we don't trust the IOC or IIHF at all.
Well, and from my understanding too, like they've basically reached out and said like, hey, like we put on outdoor games. We've put games in football stadiums everywhere else. Like if you want our help, like we're happy to help you, like not do it for them, but like give you some advice. And the IOC is like, no, we got it. So that'll be an interesting
probably
dynamic.
Rolling their eyes, Brett, because like they just don't want their players to get hurt.
Absolutely. Like I would have that be a big concern too, right? Obviously these, the guys that are going to play, like they're going to play for their countries. They don't want to not play in the medal round because, they roll and, they twist their ankle because the ice is shit or something. So, so that I think there was going to be some follow-up on that either today or tomorrow or sometime in the near future. So I think
you think the IHF and the NHL already have like that type of relationship. I'd imagine it's the IOC who's being like, no, we can do it. Thank you, NHL. Like we got this. Yeah. And that's not even me like being animated. Like that is literally the relationship between those three. Obviously the NHL and IHF work together with like juniors and world championships. And like they have an understanding because especially with like world juniors, like they don't want these guys getting hurt. There's some, not as much anymore, but like I remember Ryan Nugent-Hopkins when he played with Edmonton, he was sent down there and then came back, right? Like they didn't want him to get hurt. And it's just funny too, how like, somewhere in Russia, like a throw together town in Sochi. Yeah. The facilities and the beds and everything may be shit. There might be cardboard walls for friggin' the dorms, but the ice we know is going to be legit. At least we trust the Russians have good ice.
Yeah. So something to monitor for sure. I mean, you want to see the best on best, and that includes everybody being healthy. So interesting story to watch there. I think Pierre LeBrun has done some coverage on that. And I'm sure even Russo might poke his nose around in there because I believe he is going to be one of the people covering the Olympics this winter for the Athletics. So
follow any of the TSN or Sportsnet guys, because in Canada it's gonna be like
headlines,
non-stop coverage. So I think you can at least access most like TSN articles and stuff here without a VPN. But like they're gonna be, and I'm pretty sure it's TSN and CBC that have most of the Olympic stuff. So anyways, just follow some of the Canadian outlets on social, because they're gonna be, or just like the Canadian insiders like LeBrun, they will be on it way more than the Americans probably.
For sure. Speaking of the NHL's presence in Europe, they have earlier this year in August, they opened up their first European office in Zurich, Switzerland, or Zurich. I think it's Zurich. Like pretty cool place to open up an office. Like if you're going to go in Europe, probably one of the best places that you can go. Reporting that it will focus on international operations, strategy, and development, including media and sponsorship sales. In addition, it will focus on fan engagement, events, and initiatives, including the NHL Global Fan Tour, NHL Street, Hockey Day celebrations, and will also be a focus for that Zurich-based team. So pretty cool. Like, we've obviously seen the NFL having some pretty good success with getting some international games. The NHL has had a couple early on in the year over there. So cool to see that expand, and, not that there'll probably be like a team over there or anything, but, never a bad thing to continue to grow the presence, because as the sport grows, you can grow salaries, grow the game, and it ends up being better for everybody involved. So nothing like huge news there, but something notable that happened. Like I said, it's been a slow week in the NHL.
Well, I mean, they have a team in the SHL, right? HC Davos.
Yeah.
And they host the Spangler Cup every year, which, again, I know Kevin Bieksa and a lot of the Canadians who had the opportunity to go play in the Spangler Cup say, like, put it this way, Canada doesn't win it every year for a reason, because it's a thrown together Team Canada against, like, I think it's like the best of the Swiss League, SHL. I don't know if the KHLs, but, just like some of those regional leagues that just, like, I don't know if it's even the best, but like a few of those teams play in like a little tournament, right? And that's what it is. He says it's definitely more about the vibes, the skiing, and the wives trip versus the actual hockey.
Yeah.
They said if they win, great. They obviously want to win, but it's more so like keep the wives happy. This is one where you bring the whole family on the trip because it's an experience.
It's Switzerland.
Yeah. So the sauna and like culture there is insane too, because they're literally like on the side of like mountains that like look out into like, just gorgeous.
Yeah, on my bucket list of places to visit.
There's some sick outdoor rinks. I know they've done like charity tournaments as well. Or charity games. I know a bunch of NHL players have competed there before, where you have to be like helicoptered in to play on the mountain.
I think I've heard about that. It's super cool.
I know Seth and I talked about it on like a old Sota Pod episode, which I don't even think like there is a Sota Pod podcast anymore. It's just like a bunch of podcasts now.
Right. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's see. Next to a little bit more, not as high energy, good news. Rasmus Dahlin, Buffalo Sabres star defenseman, announced he's taking a leave of absence from the Sabres to be with his fiance while she recovers from a heart transplant back in Sweden. So pretty scary stuff from what I could discover on this today. It sounds like she's doing well, just obviously had a heart transplant, so probably just needs help like day to day during the recovery. So all the best to Dahlin's, like never something that want to have to go through, but good to hear that everything appears to have gone well.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, nothing but best wishes for her recovery, and scary stuff, especially for, a young family.
Right. Definitely. Pens forward Philip Hollander, who the Wild faced just a couple weeks ago, was diagnosed with a blood clot in his leg. Will miss a minimum of 3 months. So always, and other types of injuries that you want to take really seriously. All the best to him. And then the very last piece of news, we alluded to this a little bit last week, talking about the Jordan Kyrou scratch, but the Blues are off to just a dreadful start to the season, and it sounds like they're pretty much open for business on pretty much their whole roster. I would assume outside of a couple of the younger players there, but they've got off to a terrible start. Sounds like guys like Shen, obviously we talked about Kyrou last week, Binnington, like if you're Team Canada, obviously he was huge for you at the Four Nations, but he's probably still on the roster given what he did there and his international track record. But is he
Logan Thompson, him, and Marc-Andre Fleury?
That'd be Fleury and Binnington in the same locker room would be something else. But
I mean, they could fight it out there and just get it over with.
Yeah, I don't know how
pay-per-view too.
Yeah, I mean, I was still shocked that Thompson wasn't there at the Four Nations, but I mean, he's had another, I think, unbelievable start to this season, like top of the league in pretty much every goaltending category. So I'd imagine that they won't be stupid about it this time. They'll bring him in. I would imagine he's probably the
Hockey Canada being not stupid about something.
Yeah, it's valid. And then I think
like everybody but their young guys is on the table. Like, doubt Snuggerud's going anywhere. I doubt the young guys from Edmonton are going anywhere. But like,
I think they're both hurt right now.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Both Broberg and Holloway, I think. So that's not helping their case either.
Yeah,
but
look, Wild fans, they ain't getting Kyrou, but I'm sure there's going to be some phone calls.
Yeah, and Ed Russo's reported as such, like basically, like didn't explicitly say, but I think the wording was like, I'm sure Bill Guerin has called about.
Well, he's probably just been waiting.
Yeah.
Or Brett, he's been calling and everyone's been like, Billy, nobody's trading anybody yet. Stop. And he's just like, oh, okay. And then now he's like, sick. Team's not only trading guys, but they're open for business. Let's go. Let's get a list together. Like, so yeah, I'm sure Billy Guerin is salivating at this opportunity.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this last week, but the wrinkle with Kyrou is he does have that full move clause, but like that's the type of player that like Yeah, that does move the needle for me. Like younger player, contract control, and like his analytics. Like he's been scored on a lot, but I think that's been more of a Binnington issue than a him issue. Like I think when I looked last week when this news came out, he had like a 60% expected goal share and just was basically having a lot of bad luck. So, yeah. So there you go. I haven't had a chance to listen to this week.
Trying,
podcast,
I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Blues have every right to ask a king's ransom for him because he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about this on Judd's Buds. Like, there's got to be something else between him and the organization or coaching stuff because like, or else you'd work it out because he is a star player. So there's obviously something there. I don't think it's going to be, and again, this is just my thoughts. I don't think, or else it would be covered bigger, louder, that it's going to be anything that'll affect him in a new spot. I mean, look, I know this is a little bit like ramped up because I'm trying to find a comparison off the top of my head, but like, you know, it sometimes it doesn't work with star players in their teams when there's frustration. I mean, it didn't work with, you know, Eichel and Buffalo, but there's a lot of other things. It didn't work with Verbata and the Canucks after just 1 year. Like
JT Miller, right? Like that was a lot louder. That's what I think. Like, yeah, that can probably follow him. Whereas like Kyrou, like we haven't heard anything on a big scale. The fact that they're moving him though, there's something going on there, which it's just. Well, you know, maybe if you're Jordan Kyrou and you saw what happened with, you know, a JT Miller situation where things went sour, like maybe he just doesn't want that to happen. Like, hey, thank you for what you've done here. This isn't working out. This team sucks. I want to go win. Get me out of here before.
But I don't think it's going to diminish his trade value at all.
No, I don't think so either. And he has a full no move clause, so he has some say in where he goes. You know, I think Russo joked when I responded or something about when we were talking about on Twitter off lines of like he is a wild killer and scores a bunch in this building, so why not just come do it, you know, for half the season instead of just
I mean, like, could the Wild throw a package together? Absolutely. Do I think other teams are going to put better packages together? I truly do.
Yeah. So we'll jump ahead because I did have this as a topic in our Puck to Your Opinion segment, and I think it's relevant to what we're talking about now. But like, in a world where Kyrou agrees to come to Minnesota, like, what would you be willing to give up? I think for me, it is any asset, like young asset, not named Zeev Buium or Jesper Wallstedt. Like if it means a David Jiricek or if it means a Liam Ogren, like at this point, I wouldn't be opposed to moving a Danila Yurov. Like as good as he's looked as of late, like Kyrou helps you now, and like
he's an NHL player now. So I think you have to. Like Ogren, Yurov, 100% are in the mix. Like they are in the trade package.
Yeah, and they have Adam Jiricek in their system as well, so you could put the brothers together. Maybe that's attractive. I think Logan Mailloux is the only like young right shot defenseman that they currently have in their system.
Which 0 points. Yep. Love to see.
And like a minus, I think like a -12. Like, we love karma. But so like, you know, they're probably potentially looking for a young right shot defenseman. You know, if could you flip Jiricek potentially in that deal too? I don't know, but like
his value's not at the highest, but he's still got potential. So
yeah, I think if it's not Buium, it's not Wallstedt, and like obviously you're not trading any way of the core for it. But you know, even like if Rossi ends up in that deal, like that's the type of player that I'm not opposed to acquiring. But I think like you still need Rossi and more. Like I don't think the difference there for me isn't enough where like, hey, you just kind of made a lateral move by trading a good player to get another one. So
for sure. Cause like Rossi can be that 60, 70 point player.
Sure.
He's already a 60-point player. I think he can be around that 60 to 70 point. And like, yeah, Jordan Kyrou is a little bit of a step up in that, but like you said, it's more lateral than like adding an additional piece. It's like, okay, now we are 3 lines deep with scoring. Knock on wood.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. So
Tarasenko was supposed to be that, but you know.
Yeah, well, and I think we're seeing a fourth line too. As a nice transition here into our analytics agenda, we'll talk about the fourth line and Vladimir Tarasenko. Sheesh. So get Tarasenko. I did want to start with the fourth line because this was newly assembled, I think, the game after we recorded last week with some injuries and different things like that and players coming back in the lineup. You know, I said more or less this, that I would like to see Foligno with Trenyan, and then if it's Ben Jones or generally Urov. And it's worked out really good. Like this isn't a line that scored a ton. They do have a goal, but across the last 3 games, they've got 27 minutes of ice time. And like, I think that's notable because it's roughly, 9 minutes a game, which out of your fourth line is pretty good. Like if you look at the ice time distribution across the last 3 games, with like each of the lines, natural stats can be a little skewed because there's some like post special team shifts where guys get mixed up where it doesn't totally get tracked. But like if you look at when the main 4 lines are together, I think like the top 2 lines are playing like 11 to 12 minutes, and then the bottom 2 lines have been playing like 9 or 10. So like they've been more or less rolling 4 lines here. And I think largely in part because this fourth line has shown that they can hold up a little bit better than kind of what we've seen before this line was put together. So they have across the last 3 games, like I said, 27 minutes of ice time. They've got a 60.9% Corsi share. So out attempting the other team 31 to 20. They do have that 1 goal to Danila Urov when Foligno got his first point. They haven't been scored on yet in the last 3 games, controlling a 63.2% expected goal share, 1.5 expected for, 0.88 expected against, pretty good there. And then 50-50 on high danger chances. So, and I think like the other thing with this too, is this has come with 15 of their 26 non on the fly starts coming in the defensive zone. It's like they're being relied on to, be responsible defensively, and they're getting out of the zone, getting in on the forecheck. And I think, coming into this week prior to last week, I was thinking about looking into just kind of the slow start for Marcus Foligno. Does he
have a point yet, by the way?
He did on that Urov goal.
Okay.
In the last 3 games. That was his first point of the year. I've talked on this show, I think like Yakov Trenyan's been fine. Like, is he playing up to the contract? Points wise, no, but I think on ice impact, like you could argue yes. Like I think he's like top 5 in the NHL in hits right now, might even be number 1. I think the underlying numbers have been fine.
Less of an anchor than last
correct.
year.
Yeah, like I think like he's playing in a good role, and like him and Foligno, like you get 2 big bodies that can forecheck, and obviously Urov, like we've talked about the responsible 2-way game. He's kind of doing the Rossi thing where like he's not doing anything outrageous in the offensive zone, but just getting himself in the right spots. That's how he's gotten both of his goals going to the net. So I think that's really nice to see. I think it really makes the conversation about what you do with Nico Sturm when he comes back even a little bit more interesting. Like I think at this point, the way that line's played, like, do you keep it together potentially? Like, is it Nico Sturm up on the 3rd line with Hartman and Tarasenko? Like, I think Hinostroza in my mind is one that comes out of the lineup potentially. Another puck your opinions topic that I'm kind of jumping the gun on a little bit, but I've just been really like, it hasn't been like something out there scoring a ton of goals, but I think when you look at what the job of the fourth line is, like create energy, create some momentum, like be kind of that grief line. Like, hey, if you every 3 games, if you score once, don't get scored on, and you're controlling, 2/3 of the offensive chances, like that's a pretty good impact from your fourth line.
Absolutely. I was distracted with one of our comments, which I'll share later. But anyways, Tarasenko.
Yeah. So talking about Vladimir Tarasenko. So shout out to Jordan BTWNX. I believe it was after not this most recent game, but the game before that. Had asked something on the lines of like, has Tarasenko been like an anchor for some of these forward lines? Because it seems like whoever he plays with like has some of their worst games. And like I tested me, I was like, yeah, he's been fine. Like I don't feel like he's making a lot of turnovers, but like at the same time, like he's not shooting a lot of pucks, not making a lot of like amazing passes. At even strength, I think on the power play, he's made some really nice plays. Yeah. But even
I would agree, by the way, like eye test, and then you look, okay, I think this was last week we were talking about 8 or 9 points. He has 10 now, like he's still contributing.
Yeah. And a lot of that's coming the power play. I think just 3 5-on-5 points so far. So I think the other 7 have all come on the power play. So I just want to take a look like, hey, like what is the truth about what he's doing? So I went to Natural Stat Trick, pulled up 5-on-5 line data, and basically looked at what have his most popular or most common line mates, not most popular, most common line mates done with him on this line and then without him on the line. And that's kind of the chart for those watching that you see on the screen here. If you're listening, you can go to my Twitter. I also tweeted out this graphic today. Take a look at it. I'm not going to go through every single stat. Like I'll call out some notable ones. But obviously started the year with Eck and Boldy, and like it has been night and day what they have done with Tarasenko on their line versus with Tarasenko off of it. And is this a Marcus Johansson effect? Maybe a little bit, but I just think like you look at like Eriksson, Eck, and Boldy playing with Tarasenko. Eck was averaging 0.62 goals per 60 minutes. Without Tarasenko, that's jumped up to 3.24. Boldy in a similar boat from going from 1.02 goals for per 60 all the way up to 3.40. You know, goals against relatively the same, but they're scoring way more, which is what you want from those guys. We've seen the expected goal shares for both of those two go way up. And then the really big discrepancy was the high danger chances with Boldy. With Tarasenko on the ice, 38.46 of those high danger chances. With those two on the ice, without Tarasenko and just Boldy, that jumps all the way up to 61.5%. Our guy Seth has been touting a lot about just how much Boldy's been shooting. And it seems like, you know, playing with Tarasenko was maybe holding him back from some of that. And I think you look at all of a sudden Tarasenko comes off that second line. And I think we've seen, you know, we literally talked last week on this show about like, yeah, you know, the Eck, Boldy, Tarasenko lines, like they've been getting some tough matchups, not controlling the play, not getting scored on, but like we think the goals will come. Sure enough, Johansson swaps into that line. That's probably been the Wild's best line the last three. Even with Zuccarello back, who's made some good plays. I think it's really been that second line that's been kind of now driving the bus offensively. You know, Johansson's been a nice addition, and it's somewhat reminiscent of kind of when they made that trade to acquire him, and that these three were together. So, and then Hartman, Hinostroza, Foligno, Kaprizov, not as much time with those guys as Hartman. He's been about the same as the other two, but those other three not as much. But same thing, pretty much across the board. Goals, expected goals, chances, shot attempts, like all of that for most of these guys, better without Tarasenko on their line than with him on their line. So I don't really know what the cause of this is. I think he's been like you said at the top. Like I think he's been fine defensively. Like that was like the one takeaway is like a lot of these guys with Tarasenko haven't been scored on, but the underlying numbers suggest that's probably more of a make sure you tap the pads of Gustafsson and Wallstedt because they're kind of bailing him out a little bit. But I think it's an interesting conversation about what you do with him when you're healthy because he's, like I said, 3 points in 18 games at 5-on-5. Not probably what you're hoping. You'd probably hoping for a little bit more, maybe like half a point per game in that stretch. You'd maybe hoping for you to have maybe 9 somewhere in there. Maybe even if it was 6, double what he's got right now, you'd be a little more happy with that. But you didn't give up anything to acquire him. It was a future considerations addition. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the team's opinion is on him but I just thought it was a really interesting note just to see how players have performed without him and how those numbers look a lot better.
It's so weird because he just hasn't been able to find chemistry with anybody on the team yet. Like realistically.
Yeah, and I think how many times we brought that up this season, like the importance of chemistry. Like Kaprizov and Zuccarello, they've had some moments, but the one goal they scored the other night,
that was like Sedin, right?
Yeah, like it was
so that's chemistry. And Joe Smith was saying on Fellowship of the Ring, he's like, we see them do this in practice and just mess around all the time. We roll our eyes like, you guys aren't going to do that in a game, and then boom, it happens in a game. Like it's insane.
Yeah, and you just like I grew up playing, and like I definitely had some moments like that with some of my best friends where you'd go out there and you just like you can't really explain why but like your back will be facing the glass and you go, I know if I throw this pass right there, it's hitting my buddy right on the tape. Like to your point, like that chemistry matters. So maybe that is like he hasn't found the right fit yet. Maybe all of a sudden it is with Nico Sturm. Like he's a pretty small sample with Danila Urov. Maybe it's with Urov. I don't know. So I don't know what the keys to get him going, but something to watch over the next couple of games as this team, thankfully continues to get a little bit healthier. Hopefully Middleton back from illness soon, and hopefully Nico Sturm, who I believe has started skating again. I still think I had heard early December was kind of their estimated timeline for him. So still a couple weeks out, but good to see them getting healthy, but interesting to see what will happen with Vlad.
Send him back to the Blues in that package.
Yeah.
Send him home.
Could use a warm body. We got some opinions.
I just want to say, Puck, your opinion.
So shout out in advance. I did throw out a tweet today. Lots of you threw some stuff in there. I think we covered a lot of it, or will cover a lot of you had the same topics. On the topic of Urov, Joseph Noriak, good friend of the show, argues that Danila Yurov needs to be playing higher up in the lineup. We'll start with that one. He has another one as well. And that's kind of where that fourth line study, it was inspired by that conversation. Because I pointed out, I was like, I don't, is you're at this point, is Danila Yurov playing with Ryan Hartman and Vladimir Tarasenko an upgrade over playing with Foligno and Trenyan? I argued that it's not right now. I think he's in a really good spot, like learning that defensive game from Foligno. Like that line's got a goal. I think, you could maybe argue a little bit on the ice time, but like I said, I think you've seen a little bit more of a balance between the third and fourth lines and the ice time over the last couple games. I think that Yurov line actually had more ice time than the Hartman line against San Jose. So sure, I see the point, but I guess at this point, it's your definition of who is truly the fourth line right now. Is it Tarasenko, Hartman, and Hinostroza, or is it Trenyan, Yurov, and Foligno? You have 6 guys that have kind of played on both of those lines this year, so more of a 3A, 3B situation. But yeah, I don't think with the way Marcus Johansson has played, RIP, the point streak ended last night, 1 game short of the bingo square. Unfortunately, that's always a tough one to get the 10-point streak, but pretty good run for him. You're not taking him out. You're not taking Boldy, Kaprizov, Zuccarello out. So
he got that silver stick too, which was awesome.
Yep. So yeah. So I think he's in a good spot right now. I do think, as we've alluded to a couple times in the show here, I do wonder what happens when Nico Sturm comes back. I still maintain throwing Sturm between Trennan and Foligno would be an incredibly fun line to watch. And then it's, do you want Yurov on the wing, Hartman on the wing? Because that's probably where he goes. I think he's outplayed Hinostroza at this point. But I think he's in the right spot right now. Where do you stand on it?
Oh, I pretty much agree with you. I would really just like I don't know if Foligno's maybe playing through some sort of injury right now, because he has in the past. I would like him to be at least producing a little bit more, just for not that he's snapped yet, but just for his own confidence, where it's just look, the little things like you just mentioned on that line they're being rewarded for, and even they got a goal there. But I don't know, that's my only just small, I guess, pushback for the sake of conversation. It's it's good probably for his development to learn that side of the game, because that line is being leaned on heavily for that right now, and the offense isn't coming anyways, nor is it really expected too much. Obviously 0 points for Lino up until the other night was crazy, but I don't know. I would just like to see if he's gonna be developing on a line, learning that side. It would be nice to have the other guys going as well, even not just 50%.
Yeah. I think the other nice thing too is obviously he was benched there for a little bit for Ben Jones. Tyler Pitlick got into the lineup. We saw Pitlick take the bad penalty. He had a one that kind of changed the course of the game in Pittsburgh. Ben Jones was winning faceoffs, but really not doing much of anything else. Those two come out. Yurov comes back in, and to the point I think has earned his current spot. He's earned a spot in the lineup.
Yeah.
The way he's played the last 3 games. So. Much in the way I think David Jiricek still has had his warts these last couple of games, but since coming in from Middleton, I think he's looked a little bit better after spending some time sitting out. So encouraging to see from that aspect. It sounds like the coaches have been very honest with the players, but hey, here's why we're taking you out. Here's what we want to work on. We're going to get you back in there, but just here's we're going to take a little break, work on these things in practice. So I think it's good to see that the young players are responding to that well. That good communication from the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. We got a lot on here about Damon Hunt. I did want to talk about him today. According to my advanced analytics, he's had 1 good game, 2 bad games. I think he's definitely a case where the numbers aren't telling the full story, because I think you watch the games and Damon Hunt is noticeable for the right reasons. I think again, everything you and I talked about in the past with him, he's a smart player. Makes the right plays in the right spot.
In the right spots. Yeah, totally.
Yep. Always, I think he's had some, knows when to jump up into the play. We've seen him, I think he had a couple entries in the offensive zone last night. Not sure if he got shots off, but helped start some plays there. I think has stabilized a little bit that third pair with David Jiricek, which, as we've talked in the show, that's not an easy player to play alongside given some of his defensive warts. But I think we were stoked when the Wild got him back off of waivers. Like we were like really happy in the group chat. You and I were excited, and like to see him get this chance. And you talk about players earning spots. Like even when Middleton comes back, like I think Jiricek has to be the one that comes out. And whether it's Hunt back on the right side, left side, like I think he's earned a spot here to keep playing. Is it Hunt and Bouillon again, where you shelter those minutes once Middleton comes back? I think that's probably likely, but like what I've seen from him and just like making the right plays. I think he did pick up an assist in the game against the Islanders that the Wild played really, really well in. So good to see. Like I'm really excited. And I think like going back to last year, I said this is a guy that should be an everyday third pairing defenseman. And I was like really shocked that he didn't get that opportunity in Columbus. Really,
yeah,
but,
me too.
Excited to see this getting that now, and I'm hoping it sticks.
Well, they're part of NHL history. Both of them, like they, because of just the circumstance. I don't think in NHL history, actually the 10K guys, I think they mentioned this as well and confirmed it. There's never been an NHL pairing of guys who were traded for each other in a year's span.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's crazy that two guys who were traded for each other are on the same team on the same line. And that's never happened in NHL history. I think it must have happened once because I read the stat and it was like in X amount of time in a year and a half span. So maybe it happened like once, like end of their careers. Oh, This is funny that we're but like the fact that like two prospects, two young guys, is just like it's nuts.
Yeah, great interview too. I think Kevin Gorg asked him about that. I think in the Islanders game, and he basically said like we joked about it, but like we're both happy to be here and be making an impact and. Like we weren't the ones that wanted to be traded either way. So, we're getting along well. And so just pleasant person. Like he's been a guy, I think in the past, like, you throw something in his DMs on Instagram, like, hey, good game or something, like he'll throw back the flame emoji or something, like acknowledge it. So like, cares too about that stuff. So, and a great fashion sense. It's a well-dressed young man for sure.
We've been fans of him for a while here at the Sota Pod. So I'm stoked that he's back. And like you said, if Jiricek is part of a trade package, like, well, they got another NHL ready defenseman who's 23, who they originally had anyways, and the Jiricek experiment didn't work. Yeah.
So, I think we talked like he's earned the third pair role. It's like that was a lot of the Hunt comments are like Kieran's spot Middleton comes back, but there were some folks as well, including producer Mateo here, already willing to say that he's, better than Middleton. The team is better without Middleton. Like, I don't know if I go that far. Like, I think Middleton has his spots. Like, I think you look at when Middleton and Spurgeon were back together, like that's when Spurgeon found his game again. Like, I just think, again, the chemistry thing, like those two just seem to work. Like
and last
Spurgeon
year
works
awesome.
really, and Spurgeon works really well with Brodin as well. But, we've seen, Middleton and Faber just not work quite as well. And that's all right. But like, I still think, I'd rather have Jake Middleton line up probably over David Jiricek right now. Over Damon Hunt. I'll probably listen to that argument because I think like for what Damon Hunt, like where his ceiling is, like, is he a Jake Middleton type? Like, I think there's a lot of similarities in the way that those two play. I think like some of that grit, stay at home, smart players, but like, I don't think I'd go to as far to say the team is better without Middleton.
Middleton brings a little bit of that fear factor too, I think, where it's like if you're battling in the corner, it's not like neither of them are going to give less of an effort. Middleton's might be a little bit more physically advantageous because he's just bigger and meaner. And I don't know if you've seen his brother play hockey. His brother barely plays hockey other than his bench or other than his ass stuck to the bench of the penalty box because he just literally beats the shit out of guys.
Yeah. Keaton, right?
Yeah.
His name. Yeah. Playing for is he with the Avalanche still?
I have no idea. He plays a suitcase in the AHL.
Yeah. So, I think that's where I stand on that. Let's see. We talked about Kairu. Friend of the show, Mex Plays, had one I thought was interesting. We could talk about here. Claims Jesper Wallstedt is the Wild's most reliable player right now. Didn't say best, didn't say most consistent, but
I like that actually.
Most
I like
reliable. I wouldn't disagree. I mean, I think look at the record in the games that he's played. I think he's 3-0-2. Kind of had the one stinker against San Jose. Where he gave up a bunch, the LA game, where he gave up 3 in the third, but, There you go. Yeah, I was right. Still playing with the Avalanche.
He had a sick preseason fight 2 years ago at the X, which I remember. I think I even saved it. It was so good. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah, no, you're all good. Yeah, I mean, I don't think if you're Philip Gus, it was nice to see Gus bounce back. I thought he played pretty well last night. Sharks had some chances. He held them in there, and hard to fault him for a 2-on-1 in overtime after a blown call by the refs on that winning goal. But I think Walsets look great. Obviously had the shutout, got back-to-back wins. As we talked going out of last week, Nashville, New York, Vancouver, some of these games on the schedule, these are must-win games. But I think for Wallstedt to come in, not only win those games, but take control of them. He looked calm, composed. The shutout's obviously huge for him. He was fired up about that. But yeah, we've talked, I think, more than once already this season about how we think that Wallstedt probably should be more of a 60-40 split this year, and that he's looking the part, looking more comfortable. And I think you just listen to the way that he talks too. He's pissed when he's not playing. He wants to be in the net. So I think you like that fire and the confidence that he's had, and feels like he's playing at the top of his game. So yeah, I don't have much argument to that in terms of being the most reliable. I think you look at the streak, who's been the most consistent players night in, night out. I think it's probably Johansson, Boldy, Wallstedt, and Spurgeon. I think are probably the four for me. So
yeah, and it's funny how we were talking about Spurgeon just a few days ago, it seems like, and turn things around. I know the YouTube comments and Twitter comments don't reflect that. They still want him out of here. You're pretty much getting the same. Well, it's what they're paying Middleton $5 million, just over $5 million.
I think so.
You're paying your captain $6,
7.5,
or seven.
Might be 7.4 or something. It's more than 7, less than 7.5. I think.
I'd rather have the $7 million older captain right now,
yeah,
than Middleton.
I think Spurgeon still played well.
I found the fight, by the way. And it's from a fan recorded it on their phone, which
there you go.
Whoops. Where is it? All right, here we go.
Cale Kessie. That was a player in the Wild organization.
This is pretty.
Still, that name, I've never heard of that name before.
Training camp. Shout out to Hockey Fights. I wish Hockey Fights would show more minor stuff, but that's what fourth line voice, I guess, is for.
Yeah,
good old preseason scrap. Scrap.
Good scrap there for sure. Let's see other ones I have. Some debate on just the long-term outlook of this team. Some saying that I think I've seen as far as this is the number 3 team in the division. I have others this is not a playoff team. I still am unsure of where I stand because there are times I watched that game against the Islanders the other night and I was yes, this is a team that looks the part. You look at the way they played 60% of that game against San Jose last night, just all over them. I think at one point,
or the first game of the season.
Yeah. I think at one point they were shooting San Jose last night, 23-9, I think, or something. Granted, some of that was from some power plays and stuff, but it's just weird. They just go through these spurts where hey, Brock Faber's all the way back. And they're Faber had a terrible game. It's Kaprizov and Zuccarello are back. And then last night, just complete dud. I think they had 3 shot attempts in 13 minutes of 5-on-5 play. Attempts, not shots on goal, attempts. They were, had a rough overtime. So it's just, and I think with that, Jordan B2W mentioned Kaprizov has been mid this year for his standards. And I would agree. I think he's left some to be desired. I would not have guessed that he leads this team in 5-on-5 points this season, but he does. He has 9 of them. And I think Boldy and Rossi are behind him with 8 each. But yeah, I think for a guy that is going to be starting a $17 million contract next year, he needs to be at the top of the league where Nathan McKinnon is right now, just absolutely dominating. And maybe you could attribute that to some of that. Hey, he didn't have Zuccarello to start the year. That's kind of his guy, but next year and beyond, he's probably not going to have Zuccarello.
Yeah, it's you had Boldy and Rossi, so
yeah,
and they had good players.
Yeah, and they were playing well. And to be fair, they did have to split them up because they needed more than one scoring line. But
well,
like
you said it, like Zuccarello's not going to be here forever, man. Like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe he signs one more year next year, and it's like, yeah, the decline's not going to be as evident because he's with Kirill, but like he's gonna retire sooner than later. He's not going to be as much as we want, probably. And he's not
going to be here for the next 8 years.
He's not going to be here when this team, like, even in 2-3 years, when this team should be like, okay, the whole league is talking about them, because that's kind of, that's the plan.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not seeing it right now, and nobody is, but yeah, everyone's picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, I think you look right now, like I think their records reflect of that. They're 7-7-4 through 18 games. And like I think you could argue like, yep, half the games they've looked really good. Half the games they've looked like total shit. And there's been a couple that have been kind of somewhere in the middle of that. Like that, to me, like the record very much reflects how I feel about them this season.
Yeah, less in the middle than not, which is strange.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been more polar opposites for sure.
But neither bad or good, because even in like in some of those really bad games, like a period at most where it looked competitive, and then it's just like been god awful for 2 out of the 3. So
yeah, I think they need another top 6 forward to like really move the needle. Like I think you saw the impact that getting Zuccarello back like allowed you to put players into better spots throughout the lineup. Like I talked about, like, it made the 4th line better. Like you could argue whether or not it's made the 3rd line better or not, but now all of a sudden, if you could add another top 6 forward, and like a Jordan Kyrou, like all of a sudden now you can slide Marcus Johansson to your 3rd line. If you have now Johansson, Urhoff, and Hartman, like, and then your 4th line is now Sturm, Foligno, Trenyon, like that's probably working. Like,
yeah,
you probably have something there.
It's one of those things too. We expected one of Urov or Ogren to be a top 6 forward right away, and it didn't happen. So it's like, okay. And I think the organization thought that there would obviously be some like growing pains, but it's like they're not close yet. I mean, Ogren, in fairness, isn't getting the opportunity to show that, like, maybe, like, I know Russo really is still on that, being like, I truly do not believe he had enough rope. Like, I truly don't believe. He's like, did he play well in training camp? No, he's like, but I truly believe they didn't give him the opportunity to show like what, kind of like what more he could do. Now, he also said the last time I talked to him too, that like height did just earn that opportunity.
For sure.
Or hate earned that opportunity. God, it's going to be so.
But at the same time, like, they were competing for different spots. Like I think
that's a good point, though. That's a good point.
Hunter Haight, like he was never going to play on the 2nd line left wing. He never was going to. Like if he made this team, it was going to be because of their injuries. There was a spot for him on the 4th line. Where like I get Ogren didn't necessarily produce in the preseason like you would have hoped, but like I thought there were lots of good chances. Like he was doing a lot of things. Like I thought he was shooting. Like there were some things that you wanted to see, but like you have to also coach these young kids. You can't just be like, we need you to do this. And then when he doesn't do it, be like, now you're going back to Iowa. Like you have to coach him through some of those mistakes. Like I think we've seen it with Zeev Buium, right? Like he's had some ups and downs, but like we've seen him get better. Like we've seen him learn from some of those mistakes. And yeah, it is interesting. Like I think, not to bring up Joseph Noriak again, but I think he and I have had this conversation several times about like it's like the Wild have apparently said something on the lines of, the NHL is not a development league, but like why are some players getting that treatment and some aren't? Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of I think it is an interesting conversation there, but
well, I think it has everything to do with just like the organization and their just like values. Some are probably like, no, we run almost like military, where it's like you are trained and ready, and we deploy you and we expect you to do your job, the John Tortorella treatment. And then there's others that are like, well, no, even if we didn't draft you, we might have to develop you. And I don't know which teams win Stanley Cups.
Yeah. And I think like
teams with the coaches that are tough, but have more of like a bond to and a respect that you don't fear, but that you can actually ask, and maybe those who identify things, who bring them up, not in a kill you type of way. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Bruce Boudreau said like, you know what? We should try to even just like, I'll try to find some clips or even just talk to him. I know Joe and Hoppy are close with him now, because like he is probably one of the perfect examples of coaches who had to do that, honestly, because he was coaching in Hershey with Semin, Carlson, Alzner. Oh God, who was the other? Mike Green. Like the only one who wasn't down there was like Ovi. I don't know if Semin was actually down there either, but like brought all those guys kind of came up with him. And then Semin and Ovi are here. Ovi's 19. And he was like, I have to like parent. Like I had to call, like he literally had to call to see if they were in bed at midnight. I had to do curfew calls. Yep. I had to teach. I had to bring in the right people around me who could handle guys who were that skilled, but had and who were leaning on, but who had to learn some things as well. Bruce Boudreau talks about it so well in a lot of his interviews, and it would be great to touch on that as well, because I think that's such a good point.
Yeah. And I think too, you look at, I think if Liam Ogren played the same minutes that Vladimir Tarasenko had, I think he'd have at least 3 5-on-5 points, maybe more. Now, what if he had the same impact on the power play? Maybe debatable. I don't think he has quite some of the vision that we've seen from Tarasenko a few times on the power play, but
because even pros can be coached, man. That's why there's a freaking coaching team there.
Right.
And how many times have you seen guys who go into a right opportunity with the right people around them, and it just works all the time, every year. And by the way, big shout out to Cole. He's a member of the channel, goes above and beyond to support the channel. So we really appreciate it, man. Just wanted to give you a shout out there. And absolutely glad that Iowa is finally developing an identity. And I mean, again, that Swede that they traded for from the Avs, and the return of Jerry Mayhew, I think are huge for this team, and it's shown.
Yeah, and I think there's correlation to how much they've improved and when those guys were added to Iowa. So, and again, you had, much in past years, you get injuries early on, all of a sudden Pitlick and Ben Jones, who are guys you were relying on quite a bit to start the year down there, are now in the NHL. Now those guys go back down, they can play a little bit deeper down the lineup. Works there as well. So, let's see. Think that covers all the ones that I had. The last one here, we've talked about this before, but just the 5v5 scoring for this team, I think it's been a little overshadowed lately because they won some games, but it was not necessarily because they were scoring a ton. I tweeted this out today. The power play's been electric, but they only 34.21% of their total goals this season have come at 5-on-5. That's tied with Dallas for the worst rate in the NHL. They actually, both Dallas and Minnesota, have played the exact same amount of games, have the exact same amount of 5-on-5 goals, and the exact same amount of total goals.
Crazy. Did not expect that to be the stat that we tied Dallas with.
Right. And they've scored more than one 5-on-5 goal in just 6 of their 18 games this season. Just 33% of the time. Only have 26 5-on-5 goals total this season. Like I said, tied with Dallas and also Detroit for the third fewest in the NHL. There's too much high-end talent on this team for that to be the case.
Well, there's too much high-end talent on every other team for that to be the case. You're going to get they're going to, even the Calgarys are going to score. Right? These are the best players in the planet. The shit clock is ticking way too long in these periods.
And I think there's been some times in past years, I think, where this has been brought up as well. I think
but they've been injured, decimated injured those past years.
Yeah. And I will say this feels a little bit different than that to me. Yes, they are healthier, but there have been times hey, I thought they did a lot of good things tonight. Last night's a great example. They deserved to win that game. But they didn't finish, right? They had a lot of chances, but they ultimately didn't score. And, the game's not played on a spreadsheet, contrary to, people might think I believe that. I don't believe that. You still have to do the stuff. But, the stuff also, isn't happening. They're not finishing on their chances. Do I believe some of that will regress? And some of those will start to go in? Yeah. But, if that's happening 1 in 5, if you're getting a game against the Islanders 1 out of every 5, that's not a playoff team. You have to finish. Kirill Kaprizov historically has usually scored a ton more goals, I think, above expected. I don't know what his exact ratio is right now, but I'd imagine that he's probably maybe not finishing as often as he does. Boldy, as I mentioned, Seth has pointed out a ton, he is shooting a boatload of pucks, I think averaging almost 9 or 10 shots per 60 minutes. 5-6 a night, basically. I think that's good, but some of those have to start going in. I think we've seen that maybe start the last couple of games. Boldy's found, the net the last couple, but I think it's still alarming to me. I'm not panicking yet, but like I do really think that they do need another offensive player to kind of help jumpstart this as well. I don't know who that is. I would love it if it's Jordan Kyrou, but like as much as the fun run with Johansson was, like it wouldn't be surprised now if we see him kind of go on a run here.
I know.
Only 3 points in his next 10.
Which, like, don't you dare turn on him, Wild fans. He is. I think he's earned like positivity from Wild fans for the whole season based on just this third of the season alone. I still think he's going to put up 40 points this year.
Johansson?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's already got 9.
No, I know.
The last 10.
I know.
I think on the season he's at like 13. Yeah, I think he absolutely will get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all I got. Is there anything else you want to hit on here before we wrap things up?
My non-hockey friend who's obsessed with Vladdy just asks the best questions. Why don't they just go get McDavid?
I'm sure he might want out right now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, 3 first-round picks won't do it. This ain't the NFL.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
it's funny because people who don't follow hockey, like just or like follow it like they do the NFL or even the NBA, like, dude, it takes sometimes 5 years for those picks to come in, and it's like, and teams are still chomping at the bit to draft them. It's like hockey's wild.
Well, I think like that's one of the annoying things for me is there's a lot of like comparisons between like, oh, the NBA, they trade like 4 first-round picks for guys. Why doesn't the NHL do that? I'm like,
because these guys play right away, or they play for 5 games and they go, oh, they can't play. Bye.
Their drafts are 2 rounds.
Well, and that, yeah.
Yeah, like they only have 2 rounds to pick from. Like, yeah, like the NHL has 7. And to your point, yeah, like most of the time, like it's 64, I don't know, was there 30, 32 teams in the NBA? 60 to 64 picks a year. Probably half of those never work out. 15 of them are pretty good and 5 of them hit. Like, yeah, the teams aren't like, if they know they can go get a bona fide, this guy's proven, they're going to take that over probably the 2% chance that they hit on somebody in the draft. And when you do, it's great. But yeah, that's a really big difference between the two. So
yeah, it's like the big $100 million lottery versus just, a few scratch tickets or a lot of scratch tickets where, you're coming away with something at least. Maybe a 4th liner, a 3rd liner, maybe someone that you get for future considerations. But
right. Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
Sweet. Well, 3-day break.
I know. I think we talked about this in a previous
one
show.
Of the few. It was
like one of, I think, 2 or 3 that they have all year. And they get the Red Hot Ducks on Saturday, who I think have scored. They'd like tied an NHL record, I think, for like the most games scoring 7 or more goals in the first like 20 games of the season or something. They've done it 4 times already. So
watch the schedule start to become a little bit more normal after the Olympics. And it's like, oh, that's what was wrong with this team. No sleep, no recovery. And you know what? Maybe the Wild just need to invest in some better saunas and, cryo chambers and recovery stuff. Who knows? Maybe they learn from that. Maybe they get one of those, that Mike Gillis, when he was GM for the Canucks, like put one of those like cryo chamber things on the plane and like took out all the seats in their PJ to make it so like they had good chairs and just like all these little things to help with like recovery and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that stuff's talked about enough in today's NHL anyways. Like what are the franchise and like at this rate, like the GMs and owners doing on that side of things?
I think Russo and LaPanta actually talked a little bit about it on not this most recent, but the podcast before about like the Wild have upgraded like their hotel stays on every trip. Like they're saying like the highest end hotels, like to your point, more comfortable sleep, better dinners, whatever it might be.
It's always going to suck in Winnipeg, but like it's
yeah.
So I think Winnipeg's like best hotel is the Best Western. So
yeah, it's a tough stretch here to end November as we kind of go into Thanksgiving and all that here. Good start to the month. They're 4-1-1 through their first 6 games. A loss to Carolina, overtime loss to San Jose, but wins over Calgary, Nashville, the Islanders, and the Canucks. Again, 4 games they probably should win, but I think you've seen better play. Like Carolina got really crazy there for the first, but I thought they settled in decently well after that. But heck of a stretch coming up here, as we mentioned, the Red Hot Ducks. And then the second night of a back-to-back per usual, they play Vegas, and they get Carolina again, and they're on the road at Pittsburgh, on the road at Winnipeg, Chicago, who's playing much better. And then you end the month with a back-to-back homestand games against Colorado on Black Friday, and then Buffalo, which should be a winnable game on the 29th. But you look at those teams, the Ducks, the Golden Knights, the Canes, the Penguins, and the Avalanche. I think those are probably 5 teams that might, I don't know I haven't looked at the full league standings, but they might all be in the top 10 right now. So
watch them go above 500 on that stretch, and this team is so back.
Yeah, we talked like you know, Thanksgiving's a benchmark, and that's the 27th. So they'll have Colorado, Buffalo after that. But you know, we might have a really good idea of where this team is after these next couple games. So Wednesday game next week. Weird. It's an 8:30 start at home. Oh my god. So it'll probably be a Tuesday or Thursday next week. Unfortunately, because it's an 8:30 start, so it doesn't work too well with our podcast schedule. But keep an eye out for that. I would guess we'll probably do Thursday, given that there probably won't be too much to talk about after only 2 games versus 3. So
we'll see if there's fireworks like in that last Carolina game.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
we'll see if any guys' heads are gonna be friggin' chud or gonna be knocked off. But anyways, that's it for me. I got a bunch of streams this weekend covering MMA and combat sports, guys. It's gonna be crazy. If you're into kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, check out the City Life Project. It's gonna be crazy. I just posted my streaming schedule. I think Brett, I'm doing one tomorrow morning. I'm doing one Friday morning, Friday night, Friday/Saturday midnight, and then 10 a.m. Saturday morning, UFC Saturday night, and then 1 a.m. on Sunday.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a stretch. It's gonna be a stretch.
Which one are you most looking forward to?
There's a kickboxing tournament called the K1 World Max, and K1's been around since like the 80s. 23 fights. 23 fights on the card. There's an intermission because it's projected to go 9 hours. But the prelims are all like local guy. It's in Japan. So like local, like just out of the amateur, hungry Japanese fighters who probably like grew up watching their like dads, uncles, or trainers fight in K1. And those are usually like really exciting fights. And then it's a one-night tournament, right? So that's why they need the intermission, because guys will fight up to 3 times that night. So the intermission is like when they do the first leg of the tournament, they have a few other fights, second leg of the tournament, intermission, and then the finals. And it's kickboxing, so 3 3-minute rounds. I'd like to say it's less brutal, but it's still a striking sport. You're getting punched and kicked in the face, right? So,
sure.
But yeah, it's been around since like the 80s, and a lot of like just legends of combat sports, even Americans as well, have fought in that K1 tournament. Like honestly, everybody, like guys from there's a bunch of Dutch kickboxers, a bunch of Thai kickboxers, a bunch of American kickboxers, a Canadian or 2 even. So it's cool that it's still going, and now it's more accessible than it's been in the past. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
There you
Could
go.
care less about the UFC.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you guys next week, either Tuesday or Thursday. Hopefully talking about some more Minnesota Wild wins as they wrap up the final 3 games of this 5-game homestand.